$15 million in network marketing. How do you create that kind of income? I'm going to show you exactly how in this video. Well, I'm not going to. My special guest speaker is going to share with you exactly how he earned $15 million in network marketing and growing in this video.
Hey everyone, welcome. This is Matthew Harris, the founder of MLM Breakthrough Academy and FB Prospecting Power 2.0, and today I have the distinct pleasure to spend some time with someone that I have the immense respect for, who's built a ridiculous income inside the network marketing profession. He's helped thousands and thousands of people retire from their jobs. He has a team of over 300,000 associates. I'll have him tell more of his story for you guys. He's also a best-selling author and someone that is setting an incredible pace when it comes to building wealth and using network marketing as that tool. And so I wanted to spend some time with Brian Carruthers today to share with you some of his top success secrets, if we can call them that. And Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Super excited to learn from you today.
My pleasure, Matt. I appreciate you inviting me on. Look forward to talking with everybody.
Absolutely. So let's just kind of start the conversation and just share, for those who may not know your story, tell us kind of, where you started, what got you into business, what got you into network marketing, kind of what's happened since you got started.
Yeah, I've actually been in the profession of networking for 19 years. Started off with one company, 3.5 years, telecommunication space. Didn't make a lot of money. I was doing it part-time on the side for my real estate career. I went to all the meetings, all the trainings, listened to all the conference calls. I did a lot of learning, not a lot of earning, but sometimes you have to go through the growth curve and the learning curve first. So I cut my teeth there for 3.5 years. One more company for a year after that. Company that was in satellite television space and personal development. I learned a lot more, earned a little bit more, and then my current company came along, and I've been with this company now for 15 years, and this is where the home run happened. Sometimes you have to take batting practice a lot until you actually get that chance to hit the one out of the park, and so what's happened here, it's been a pretty amazing journey. I came out of the blocks real strong. I made 11 grand my first month, 248,000 my first year. And now I've earned over $15 million. My team has earned over $320 million in commissions. And what I like to say is we've given a lot of kids their parents back. We've retired a lot of people from their jobs. We've taken stress out of people's lives, whether it be $500 extra a month to alleviate a car note, or $5,000 a month to replace a job and allow people to be stay-at-home parents, or $50,000 a month to live a lifestyle they've never even dreamed before.
It's fantastic. What I love about your story is that it's not just you who's had some tremendous success. You've obviously helped a lot of people. And that, one of the things I've learned from you and watched as any great leader talks about is that it really comes down to helping a whole lot of people become successful. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. The beautiful thing about the network marketing business model is that it's a true win-win. I mean, if the people you bring aboard don't make money, you make no money. If they do well, you do well. If I bring somebody on board and I help them make $20,000 a month and I make an extra $2,000 a month in overrides on that, we're both happy.
Right. And so you had a huge income success story, also the time freedom, obviously building a network marketing business, and I know you travel a lot and you've been a stay-at-home dad and all that kind of stuff. You're living the life. And so one of the things that I love about you is you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk too. I mean, you've led by example. Tell us a little bit more about what it looked like when you made that transition from coming into network marketing. I know you came from real estate, and a lot of times people, when they have this thing about network marketing, unfortunately for them, where they don't quite understand the model and they have some hang-ups. So coming from your background into network marketing, you have a really unique perspective on the industry as a whole. I know you've helped a lot of professionals transition out of other different careers into network marketing. Kind of share with everybody kind of your perspective on network marketing, why you chose it instead of any other career, because I know you could have kept on doing your thing in real estate. Why did you choose network marketing?
Well, obviously it found me, and I always understood the concept of leverage because my father built one of the largest real estate companies on the East Coast back in the 70s. And he always taught me that, it's better to, instead of being the agent, you want to be the broker and hire hundreds or, like him, thousands of agents to work for you selling houses and get a little piece of the action off of each one of their sales. That's why we were able to live a lifestyle that we lived. I grew up in $1 million home. I went to private schools. My dad bought me a brand new Honda Prelude when I was 16. Now that shows my age. But we've traveled, and it's just an amazing lifestyle we've had. So I always knew that it's all about recruiting and building a company and having leverage. Robert Kiyosaki calls it the B quadrant, whatever you want to call it. Network marketing provides that. I first of all was not keen on network marketing like a lot of people, because you hear about the stigma of the whole pyramid thing or whatever. And I was, when that's what's if those are the seeds that are planted in your head, unfortunately, that's how you're conditioned and programmed.
Yeah.
So even though the real estate business model and the network marketing business model is structured the same way, real estate is accepted in society, and network marketing for some people has not been, because they had an uncle or an aunt who actually got into a network marketing business, didn't make any money. They quit after 3 months, or quit after talking to 20 people, and they say, oh, that business doesn't work. And you see people, because there's no skin in the game. It's not like they open a franchise for $500,000. They got no skin in the game. They get in, they scratch off a couple lottery tickets, they don't win, and they toss it. And then they go out and perpetuate this message that, oh, that's a scam, nobody makes money. No, you didn't make money because you didn't go to work. Now, the plan works if you work the plan and you stick around and you go through the learning curve. People want to get involved in a brand new business model they've never been a part of before, never succeeded in before, and they're not willing to learn. That's why they're not going to ever earn. And so for me, I had to go through that myself. And I know I sent you a copy almost a year ago, the Making My First 10 Million book. And basically, I tell my story about how I learned about network marketing and the whole model, and how I personally shunned it until somebody stopped me in my tracks by asking me why my family's real estate company was any different of a model. And at that point, I said, you know what, this makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely, and I love that, because now you're coming from a point of strength. Obviously, you've had the success. You're living the life. You've helped so many people. You've got this incredible track record in the industry. And so some people watching this might say, "Well, it's easy for you, Brian. You've got the cars, you've got the Bentley, you've got the homes and all that kind of stuff." But for a brand new person, what you're talking about isn't something that just you can share with someone. It's a mindset that anybody really can embody, and that'll help them be successful in their business. And that's what I loved about the book you sent me, was you talked about being able to attract money. And this is anytime I talk with anybody, I share with them, listen, you can attract or repel money. It's really how it works. And so a lot of people get into business and they get into this model, they think that it's going to work, and then they don't go through the learned knowledge, activity knowledge, and all that stuff. But also they're repelling money at the same time. And so I love the fact that you're teaching people how to create wealth, how to attract money to themselves, but also use this vehicle of network marketing to get there. So share a little bit more about that mindset when it comes to making money, because obviously we're talking about wealth, and creating wealth, and that has different, meanings for different people. But there can be people that are in great vehicles, can get into network marketing, and still find some struggles when it comes to making money. So what are some wealth principles or some mindsets that you found that have really served you well, that you've seen also help other people when it comes to building real true wealth?
I think it starts with recognition, recognizing what your value system is based on money. I mean, thoughts are things. You attract more of what you think about. So, if you're focused on debt, even if it's focused on getting rid of debt, you're still focusing on debt, even though you're trying to get rid of it. So you're going to attract more debt. It's just the way it works. If you focus on wealth and wealth accumulation, you're going to accumulate wealth if you understand not only you get more of what you focus on, but also you have to diagnose how you've been treating money, and your underpinning in your subconscious mind how you actually perceive money. If you're raised in a household where money is a root of all evil, or rich people are bad, or rich people are going to hell. You hear those kind of things growing up in some households, or parents, grandparents, pastors at churches, and so forth that would teach these kinds of things. No wonder why it is that you're repelling money. It's kind of like your body, without you thinking about it. If you ingest something that's spoiled or that's poisonous, your body's going to reject it. It's going to vomit it out so you don't get sick and die. You don't have to think about it. Your body knows that it's not good and it gets rid of it. Unconsciously, and that's the way most people are with money. You go to work all day, every day to make money, and whatever money you're able to bring in, you're getting rid of it as fast as you got it coming in, because you don't have a good mindset, you don't have a good relationship with money in the first place. Your unconscious brain is vomiting the money out of your pocket without you even knowing about it. And so when you realize that you're not attracting money, you've actually been repelling money. And when you finally decide, I'm going to start loving money versus having this despising outlook on it, And I'm not saying you have to love the actual paper. I'm talking about you have to love what money as an instrument can do for good in the world, for your family if somebody ever gets sick and needs extra special doctor care, or putting your kids in a private faith-based school, or supporting a charity, retiring your elderly parents. I mean, things that are really, and I'm not talking about buying Rolexes and cars. I'm talking about doing, I mean, if you want to do that, great too. That's great too. But whatever your value system is, you've got to start loving money as an instrument, because when you love it, you'll attract it. When you don't like it, you're repelling it, and that's what most people are going through.
Yeah, I love that perception on it, because that's anyone, and that's true in any business. That's true throughout life. It's just obviously when you get into business, you can magnify your efforts, and so if you have your subconscious mind sending you repelling money, no matter how hard you work, you're still gonna have a struggle with keeping the money that you have. And I've seen that with a lot of network marketers. That they maybe come into this business and they get some success, they build up a lot of income, but they don't maintain it. And that's something that I'd love to see more of, is really creating wealth, something that you can really pass on to people, not just making money and spending everything, but really building wealth. So we've kind of built through the concepts of the mental part of it. And when I first got in this industry, Brian, I didn't want to hear that. I was the guy that, don't give me all that mental stuff. Just tell me what to do. But I found that it's so important. The more people I talk to who've had tremendous success, that's what they focus on the most, is the mindset of creating wealth. And so I love that you shared that. But let's transition a little bit. Now, you talked about how you struggled in the first couple of years. You went through your learned knowledge, and then you found that home, that company you've been with for 15 years, and you went to work. Now, for anyone watching this, we've got people that are going to watch us that have maybe been in the industry for a while, maybe are brand new to the industry and whatnot. If you could do this for us, I think this would really, really help myself and a lot of people watching this, is to show exactly what you did when you first got started. And I know that you put together a 90-day game plan in a book that you just published out. You talked about that, and we'll talk more about the book in a second as well. But you lay out the system and the activity that you went through. Could you tell us really, now we've got you in person, we got the man here, so tell us what it was like that first 90 days when you went out there, you really got the momentum going. What were you doing? How did you move so fast that blew past everybody else?
Well, in the Building an Empire book, there's a chapter on it called Success Compression, and it's about doing a lot of activity in a short period of time. Some people will take 3 months to call 200 prospects. Some people will actually take 3 years to call 200 prospects. I took 3 days to call 300 prospects. So my game plan was, in the first 90 days, I was going to just give it all out massive action, and I wasn't going to just walk out of the starting blocks. When the gun went off, I was flying out of the starting blocks. That's why I made $11,405 my first 30 days, is because I came out strong. I said, your first 30 days, you have a chance to create your story that you'll never get a chance to recreate exactly like that again. You can go out, look, anybody can, by the way, start today, create a new 30-day story, but it won't be your first 30-day story. So for me, I'm able to tell people in my first 30 days, I made $11,000. Now, if you didn't do that, you can decide today that over the next 30 days, you're going to create that story, so you can say, hey, look, when I began to take my business seriously in a 30-day window, I made X. So you can actually do that right now. But success compression is doing a lot of activity in a compressed period of time. It creates excitement, energy, synergy, momentum, the domino effect, good things knocking into good things, and it's like the popcorn. Popcorn starts popping, it's a pop, 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 and it starts going crazy. That's how I wanted my business to go, because it's 10 times easier to build this business fast than it is to build it slow. And one of the things, going back to what we just talked about, with the whole financial mindset, I learned a lot of that as time went on. I mean, in the last few years, I really started to really look at and study the human mind and why people, I'm not in a scientific or a doctor way, but because I'm not that kind of that's not how I'm wired.
Hey, Dr. Brian Carruthers, it's okay.
I mean, I personally wanted to learn why it is that prospects that I was talking to, why prospects were not vibing with starting a business for themselves, even though they admitted that they don't have any time for their kids, they're stressed out, they're financially bankrupt, but yet they still don't want to start a business. So I found that I'm talking to prospects all day, every day, because I'm still a recruiter. For 15 years, I'm still recruiting. Matter of fact, right before I got on this hangout with you, guess what? I was just inviting people out to our business briefing this evening.
Love it.
So, but I'm talking to prospects every day that flat out don't even want to. One of my good friends, Mike Hume, says, people are not even willing to participate in their own rescue. You throw them a life preserver and they swat it away. It's like, what? So anyway, that's why I wrote that book, Making My First $10 Million, because I was talking to a prospect last March, and he basically told me for 15 minutes about how bad his life was. His 2 kids never saw him. His wife never saw him, and he was just frustrated. I said, all right, let's get you started. He goes, I'm going to pass. What? You're going to pass? Okay, great. So I got on an email, started typing out a long email to him, trying to get into his head, trying to save this guy, well, for the sake of his wife and kids. And that long email turned into an actual book. I don't know if I have one. This book,
Yep.
This little guy.
Yep.
So, and by the way, it's little because it was an email that I turned into an actual book that you can hand out to somebody, a prospect that is already closed-minded. They don't realize that they're on a path that will never deliver them where they want to go. They don't realize it. They think I just work harder and work longer and eventually I'll get free. No, that's not true. So if you're in prison, you're in prison. There's no, you can't just sit there and say, oh, the door's going to open one day. So for me, I want to open up the door of receptivity of their mind about attracting versus repelling money, about leveraged income instead of being leveraged. I wanted to open their mind up and then walk in broad-shouldered with my opportunity, not trying to jam my opportunity in through a little crack in the locked door. I wanted to open the door wide open and say, here's what we've got for you. Here's what I can do in your life. So that's why I did that. So now that's kind of a little precursor to your question, but I just think that people right now need to recognize they've got the right vehicle in their hands if they're a network marketer. If you chose a company right, if you got a good product you believe in, if you got a compensation plan that pays fairly, if the check's cash, if the company's strong and solid, ain't going anywhere, which sometimes you can't really control that, but hopefully you did your due diligence properly. You have a good mentor, a good upline. Quite frankly, I don't have an upline. At the beginning I did, but he sold his business to a billionaire for 7 figures back when the real estate was booming and cashed that money in and went and invested in real estate. And he's gone on to do well, so it's certainly there's probably no big deal there. But I don't have an upline, and so if you don't have an upline, and that's why my blog fostermentor.com is what I basically kids don't have parents, so they go get a foster parent. So there's a lot of network marketers that need people like me, like you, like somebody that's going to actually be able to be there to help coach them through when they don't have a sponsor that knows what they're doing. They don't have an upline that's successful that's willing to reach down and help that newbie. Or maybe there's a clash of personality and they don't get along, or whatever the case might be. So I love helping people, not just in my own company now. I'm here to help anybody that wants some help in building their business. So
I love that, and you touched on something really that I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper here. All right, so you don't have an upline. And this so it's so interesting that so many people say, and yes, we know that we need to get mentorship and learn from people that have been successful. But it's like some folks just sit at the starting gate and they look up at the heavens and they say, okay, somebody reach down and help me, somebody pull me. And sometimes you have to take those first steps, to become the student, to be ready for the teacher to appear. So, obviously you sharing information, you setting an example, you've been able to help a lot of people, but you also realize that you have to take responsibility for where you're at and moving forward. And I think it's mind-blowing to me that you don't have a sponsor. There's another leader that I know that has created great success in the industry. He doesn't have an upline either. And it's an interesting thing. So it's like, who do you look to then? So you came into the business, you ran, you fast, you did everything you did. Who are you looking to at this point? And who have you looked to, and how have you been able to learn to become who you've become if you didn't really have that kind of upline? That's mind-blowing to me.
I did have good mentorship early on. Don't have anybody there right now, but you don't need one. I mean, at some point you need to learn to fly. Sometimes when you have a really good upline, it causes you to lean on that crutch too much, and if you're walking on crutches, you never build up the strength in your own legs. So, for me, I believe that having good mentorship is good to have, but not to rely on it forever. You want to be the good mentor, not just have a good mentor. I always, the chapter in the book called, Am I a good sponsor? And people need to ask themselves, would I want to be sponsored by myself? Am I a good sponsor? And if you wouldn't want to be sponsored by you, if there's somebody else you'd rather be sponsored by, then that's not a good. You need to work on becoming a better sponsor.
And that brings me up to the point of reading books and things like that, and that's kind of bridges us into that section really where you've authored a new book that is making huge waves inside the industry, and I read it within I read it pretty quick. I read straight through it. I'm reading about a couple books a week at this point, and then yours is one of my favorites I've read so far for the year. Not just because of of who you are. Obviously, we know each other for a long time, but because of the content that you're laying down, and I found in my own life to be able to watch other people, learn from other people, even if I wasn't working with them, and they were kind of like that foster mentor. I could kind of watch from afar, learn from what they were doing, and you put together a book detailing how you built the empire that you have. And first, I think that's awesome. I mean, a lot of books out there may not necessarily be written by someone who's actually had the success that that you've had. So first off, that's huge. But you actually walk through exactly how you did it, in a book format. So tell us more about the book, and there's some concepts I want to bring out from that as well that really stood out to me. But tell us more about how that even came about, and more about what that book is and what people can expect from that.
Well, sure. First of all, I got a chance to learn from some incredible people outside of network marketing, but in personal development space. So Paul J. Meyer, who is known as a grandfather to the entire personal development industry, I considered him a great friend. He passed away a few years ago. We miss him deeply. He authored and sold over $2 billion of his own books and audio programs. He's just the godfather of the whole space. And spent a lot of time with him in his homes in Texas and in the Cayman Islands, and Charlie Tremendous Jones. If you haven't, some people don't know who he is, but he's a big-time speaker and author. He also has recently passed a few years ago. But Charlie used to say that you will be the same person 5 years from now that you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read. So who are the people that you're spending your time with? The 5 people you spend the most time with, those associations are working hard on you. If you have 5 people that are broke, you're going to be the 6th one. 5 people that are wealthy, you'll be the 6th one. 5 people that are unhealthy, you'll be unhealthy. 5 people that smoke, you'll smoke. So who are you spending your time with, and what books are you reading? Now, there's a lot of people with a lot of different philosophies. I know you're reading a lot of books. I've got you can see behind me. I've got hundreds of books up there. I haven't read them all. It looks like I have. It looks good. but listening to Paul J. Meyer, listening to the editor of Success Magazine, Darren Hardy, and some of these other people, I'm firmly in their belief from the standpoint that you don't need all these books. I actually just sent an email to a friend of mine on my team out in Chicago who was telling me about a new book yesterday he read called The One by the guy who founded Keller Williams Real Estate, and it's about focusing on one path and going out and mastering one thing instead of being the jack of all trades and the master of none. And I said, hey, I'd like to read that book, but let me just submit something to you to think about. Darren Hardy and Paul J. Meyer and some of these folks talk about how so many people read so many books. They read it once and put it up on the shelf, and it looks good in their library. But what do they actually do with it? You can't read 200 books and have any application in your life. Yeah, it can sit somewhere in the recesses of your brain, and maybe the information's in there somewhere. But what they talk about is have a half a dozen books, not 60 books, but have 6 books that you can actually read, study, digest, underline, take notes on, make training PowerPoints out of, implement into your daily life and your business. And so for me, yes, there's some perpetual reads that I'll read once a year, like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Bob Burg has got great stuff. His new one, Adversaries to Allies, is great. The Go Giver. So there's some really good books out there that I will personally keep going back on. But there was never a book in the network marketing space that actually was the go-to book that I would keep going and pulling back down again. There was never a manual. In most professions, there's some kind of a manual. You have a manual to drive a car, you have a manual to do all kinds of things, but there's no network marketing for dummies kind of a thing that actually was truly, like you said, written by somebody that actually did it. There's a lot of authors that decided to write because they couldn't do. There's a lot of professors in college that teach business. They're teaching it because they might not be able to do it in real life. So, a lot of the people that are reading the book and giving me feedback are like, hey, finally somebody who actually really, truly built a multiple 100,000 plus person downline who's made, massive money in the business and is still doing today what he did when he first started with that company. I'm in 15 years in. I'm still in the trenches today exactly like I was 15 years ago. I still do PBRs in people's homes. I still do 3-way calls. I'm still talking to prospects at the gas station when I'm pumping gas. So the bottom line is that having a book that's real time, in the trenches, relevant, and all that, it didn't exist. So I spent a year and a half, all through end of 2012, all the way through 2013, taking every idea that popped in my head over that year and a half. When I was out at a meeting and I noticed something, I jotted down and wrote that chapter that night. Sometimes I had 3 or 4 chapters in a night. Sometimes I had a whole week that went by. I didn't have a new idea. But as a year and a half of doing the business, remembering the things or encountering the things I encountered for 15 years, it's all in the book. There's 104 chapters. So, I've been doing interviews and conference calls. I mean, I did 4 conference calls last night. And one of the people that interviewed me last night, he's leading a huge team, she said, you guys, you all have no excuse to not succeed in your business now, because you can't say you've never had access to all the real information that you need. Because if you just go get this 260-page book, it's there. You might choose not to read it, but at least it's available to you, and you have no excuse to fail now. You've got to succeed. If you want to succeed, you've got the opportunity to do so.
You know what? You said so much there that I'm not even going to try and add to that. But there's one thing that really stood out to me. Is when you talked about mastering a certain books, and how in the network marketing industry there wasn't a book that really brought all the pieces together in one place. And I really want everyone that's watching this to get the book. First of all, I read it and underlined as much as I possibly could. When I read something now, I kind of went down that path of just regurgitating information. I mean, I was on all the conference calls, just doing the whole rhythm, kind of being in the stands, watching the whole game, and not really getting rewarded as someone who's playing the game. And things started to change for me when I started to focus specifically in certain areas. The network marketing and the online world was that area that I decided to focus on. And my growth started to go like this. And so I would encourage everyone watching this, first off, to get the book. It is phenomenal. Well, I'll make sure you get the links for that, and Brian will tell you a little bit more as we go and kind of unpack some things here too. But get it and then study it. Think of it as if you're studying for an exam or something. Really go through this and really prepare, because this information, Brian laid out all the information that you need to know in this to really build a tremendous business if you implement it. And what I loved about this, Brian, as we come to the close of our time together, is you laid out your roadmap as well. You laid out exactly what you say to people, your system that you follow, and why your business is system dependent and not people dependent at all. And I'd love for you to unpack that a little bit for everyone who's watching this, because a lot of folks think that they have to, they're going to do everything for themselves. They're going to try and reinvent the wheel and all this kind of stuff. And I was that guy in the beginning. I had all these different things I was trying to do, and finally figured out that there's a proven way to do something. Yep. So could you unpack a little bit for that for everyone watching this, and really tie that into where they can find it in the book? There's some secrets in that book that I think will make me a couple extra $100,000 this year, and I'm not going to tell them where it is in that book, but because you highlighted it there, one of them is actually related to the system that you laid out there. So can you share a little bit more about that?
Well, and by the way, those hidden nuggets that are in the book will be different for everybody. You might have found some things that you weren't doing that other people might be doing, but they're not doing some of the things you're already doing. So everybody's going to be in a different place. And I think that the topic we're on right now is probably the most important, because if you're system driven and not people driven means it's all about you. And you don't want this to be all about you, because if you get sick, your business gets sick. You retire, your business retires. So for me, I learned about doing things that duplicate, not doing things that work. I'm pretty good at certain things. I can go out and recruit somebody myself without using a tool, just talking, using my own mouth, because I probably can talk a good game by now. But I don't use my mouth because I know that the person I recruit can't use their mouth successfully, at least not yet. So I always dumb everything down. A dud needs to be able to do it to a stud for it to be able to scale and multiply. So, for example, my mentor years ago said, whoever gets the most tools into the marketplace makes the most money. Whether it be handing out a book to a prospect, or handing out a DVD, or getting somebody to check out a conference call, a website, whatever, using the tools is everything. And I like physical tools way more than just online, because you send somebody a link, they don't click on it or whatever. I like a physical tool these days. But some people agree with that or don't. That's fine. But the key is, if you can go out and get 2 to 5 exposures a day made with new prospects, that's good. But your goal is to have 1,000 people on your team doing 2 to 5 exposures a day. Now you've got 2,000 to 5,000 exposures a day happening for your business. Your business can't not explode with that kind of exposure every day. I mean, you're making a multiple 6-figure income if that's happening. So from that same standpoint, for example, we talk about the Building an Empire book. It's the all-inclusive resource. You've got everything you need to know. But it's not about you learning everything. It's about your team learning everything. So if you get this book, step 1, great, check that off. You're smart to get the book and you're going to get all this knowledge. But again, what's good is it for you to have the knowledge, but your team is still ignorant to all these things. So if you're going to get the book, it's great, but I'm almost like, and by the way, I don't expect everybody to say, okay, I'm going to take your word for it, Matt and Brian. I'm just going to buy a couple cases of 100 of these things and get them out to my team. No, you can read it first, for sure. But once you realize that there's information in there that is so helpful for you, immediately remember, system driven. You want to be system driven, not personality driven. So make sure that you get that same information into your team's hands and get that ripple effect to go way beyond you. Because if you empower, here's what I told everybody on Facebook last week. I said, if somebody's going to get this book or not get the book, that's up to them, for them and their business. But I can say that my team, because I'm going to force people. I mean, if I have to drive take a cross-country tour for 5 weeks, stopping in everybody's house, open up the door and shoving this book in their hand and making them read under a reading light, I'm going to empower my team, and my team is going to blow everybody else's away because I'm going to empower them with no more excuses. They'll have everything that they need to succeed. We're going to blow everybody out of the water.
I love that, because you're looking at this beyond just yourself, and that is so powerful, because so many of us just think, okay, what about my paycheck? What about my recruiting numbers and all this stuff? We don't think about our teams, and we're saying, okay, I need the recognition, I need this. You're looking at it as a guy who's made tens of millions of dollars in the industry. It's about my team. And I really want people to grasp that. It's just the way you get rich and wealthy in this and really get the results you want is helping other people get that and by empowering them, Brian. That's fantastic. It really is. So let's talk about the book. Where can people get it? What can they do to make sure they get this? I'm going to make sure that everyone has a link to this below this video, but tell us exactly as well in the video where they can go to get it.
Sure. I wish I had one to reach for. I'm actually at my Maryland house. I just came from my Virginia house last night and left my only copy down there. But it's actually called Building an Empire, and they can go to www.buildinganempirebook.com, and they can actually order it right on there. It's print. You can go to Amazon if you want to get it on Kindle, but it's cheaper if you want to get print to get it on the book's website. They're in stock now, and I apologize if anybody's seeing this right now and it's it's toward the end of January 2014. I'm sure people will see this for months and years ahead. But right now, there's a lot of people for the last 7, 8, 9 days that have been very, very hungry for it, been hearing about it, and have been waiting on it. And I've been getting 30, 40, 50 emails and text messages a day. Where's my book? Where's my book? And then finally last night, the picture of the book is popping up all over Facebook. People are finally getting it. They're saying that they can't put it down. 2 people this morning I actually saw a post on Facebook that they couldn't go to sleep last night because they couldn't stop reading it, which is flattering to me, but I feel bad because they're going to be grumpy today. They got no sleep. But but I tell you, I hope everybody understands that I'm not here to sell books. Of course, I want the books out there. I want people to use it, but I'm not trying. I'm not the guy, like a lot of people we talked about, I'm not the guy who says, hey, my business isn't doing well, so let me go out and try to make money being an author. This is completely ancillary. This is just something that I'm doing to help myself, my team, and anybody else out there that wants to use it for their teams as well. This book is going to be a great resource. I just think for years to come, it's going to be the go-to manual. And there's a lot of good books out there. I mean, GoPro of Eric Worre and some of these great books out there. Really great stuff too. So it's not the only, it's not the one-stop shop, but for everything all condensed into one place. I hope everybody feel the same way.
Yeah, no, I feel they will. I feel they will, and I'll make sure that as well as people are getting back with me, I'll definitely be getting that to you. Some of the feedback that I'm getting from people as well, which I'm excited to see the impact it's going to make. Our industry does need to be elevated, and I believe that what you're doing, what Eric's doing, and what a lot of other great leaders are saying. Let's take our stories, let's take the information that we have, and share it with this community. And really take away the excuses. I mean, anyone looking at this now, we're living the information age, for goodness sake. I mean, the information is out there. We really just need to implement it and really focus on mastering it, Brian. So if there's anything else that we'd love to share, someone's watching this right now, they're looking for that breakthrough, other than, let's say, get the book, but my thing would be master it. But what would you like to share as we close out with anyone?
I got a sales pitch for everybody.
Okay.
Here's my sales pitch. Get sold on your dreams and goals. Because when you're out there talking to your prospects, either you're going to sell them on why they should get involved in your business, or they're going to try to sell you on why you should quit by giving you your next no. And I'm telling you, I'm sold out on what I do, and you need to get sold out. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to sell you on what you're already doing. Don't quit your company. Don't go change to another deal. Focus on the decision you've already made. Be a finisher. Don't be a starter and a quitter. Finish what you started. You had a reason why you joined your company and started your business in the first place. We're not looking for joiners. We're looking for people that are finishers. So many people join stuff and never, imagine the example you're giving to your kids. When your kids, I've got a 7-year-old Talon, and I would never want to have him see daddy get into a business, quit 6 months later, get into a business, quit 2 years later, get into a business, quit 5 months later. And people say, well, it's not me quitting, it's my company failing on me. Well, then pick a company the right way the first time, and stick with your decision and see it through to the end. See it through until you get to the top. And again, we're taking away the excuses now. It's not like you don't have the information on how to do it now. So now go forward, be completely sold out on your dreams and your goals. And then the dream stealers come along, smile at them, don't be rude, don't make the profession look bad. Smile at them, let them have their opinion. But when you buy somebody's opinion, you buy their lifestyle. Just make sure you don't buy their opinion and their lifestyle. You stay sold on yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Carruthers, $15 million in the industry, #1 best-selling author, incredible leader, friend, and father as well. Thank you so much for taking the time of being here and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge. I know that there are going to be a lot of people served from seeing this and also be served from that book that you shared. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And guys, make sure you grab that book. I'll put a link below this video so that you can make sure you grab that. Again, my challenge to you all watching this until we talk again is that you dream and then find a way. Brian, thanks so much.
Have a good day.